Hello viewers, today I'm going to be talking about the subject of New Age Christians, what may be called theosophical Christians, Christians who basically in some sense have strange and diverse doctrines, alright? Who are basically adding a type of spiritual leaven into their faith. I happen to have some personal interactions with some of these individuals, or at least internet interactions, in which they themselves basically contacted me because of points that I posted in their forums, on their Facebook pages. Now, one in question is 𝒕𝒉𝒆𝒚 and the other is 𝒉𝒍𝒆𝒅. And I think for this subject of New Age Christians, they are peradventure the perfect individuals to really use here, because there are many people like them, but especially in regard to 𝒉𝒍𝒅, but also 𝒕𝒉𝒆𝒚, who also has sort of a ministry type Facebook page. They are teaching on social media. And ever since I started to do my sort of reviews of Christian influencers, I have been basically examining teachers, all right, what they say, what are they teaching, which is a very reasonable thing to do when one considereth the gravity of teaching the faith. Our religion as Christians, frankly. Now, I am not addressing people who are not Christians. They can teach whatever they like. I have no problem with them at all. And I do like to make that point because I have to say, this channel, when I talk about Christians, I often do teach, but it is in the form of a critique. Oftentimes, I can teach people a good deal simply by critiquing what a person does. Now, I do this in a respectful fashion. If I happen to fail in that, which I only have done one time, I basically do not release that, but for the most part, I do respectful critiques of what people are teaching, because there are people all over Facebook, YouTube, and the like. They are teaching. And some of them make a good deal of claims. This woman calls herself the art preacher, and to be entirely honest, a person such as myself wondereth, well, what are they preaching? They're supposed to be a preacher. They say that they are a Christian. I want to know what it is that they're teaching and the content of what they are teaching. So obviously there are, how should it be said, standards that we use to determine what is good teaching and what is not good teaching as Christians. So today the subject is basically New Age Christians, people who consider themselves to be Christian. However, they happen to add New Age concepts in addition to what they teach. So in this case, I am going to be talking about some of the dynamics of that. How does this work? Well, let me give you some background behind my interaction with �𝒉𝒆𝒚. �𝒉𝒆𝒚 posted a post on her Facebook page about Mormons. She posted a post regarding Mormons, saying that Mormons do certain things, such as have their little underwear in their temples or something of the sort. Furthermore, we can see she is a very opinionated Zionist, and she doth not seem to care that Palestinians are being murdered in the occupied territories. She simply does not care. But there are many hypocritical Christians like that, and this is, I do love it, or rather, I do not necessarily favor when I see Zionism, but when I see it, it gives me all the more reason to know, or rather to do these videos, because there are so many of these Zionist Christians. Many of them are bigots. Many of them are real hypocrites, and they have a good deal of prejudice in them. And so do many of those Israeli supporters and Jewish people. Not every Jewish person, of course, but frankly, when a whole territory of people is being bombed and basically slain over there in Gaza, and here, look at this. Both sides need peace. Both sides need salvation. Both sides need Christ. However, she is going to basically show that she doth not care about peace, because she's saying it's called Israel, not Palestine. So she really does not care about the self-determination of the native inhabitants of that land, who were there before European Ashkenazi Jewish people even came in the land. But anyhow, basically, I'm not going to cycle down to where basically she had posted. But I'm simply going to say this. She had posted something regarding religion and something regarding Mormons. It had to do with how Mormons are themselves, well, Mormons do certain things that are not necessarily Christian. And so I posted about that, and I basically had made the post, and I'd said, well, in that post, and I'm going to play some video game footage. I mean, basically, me playing some video game footage is not me invalidating my religion. This is just me posting some video game footage so that this video is less boring. Some people, like a particular individual named Truthseeker, he came on my video and said, oh, well, how can you be a Christian? You have an RPG on your, on your video. He decided to make a big point about that. But anyhow, here's the story. I said to this woman, Katie May, I said, well, how can many Christians talk about Mormons and what Mormons do when many Christians in their churches are teaching concepts such as the law of attraction? They are teaching New Age beliefs. There are some Christians such as Ravinder, who is a friend of Katie May, teaching about karma. And there are a good deal of people who are doing that. Well, anyhow, I posted another post, a reply to another one of her posts, in which I said, she was doing a post about religion and how, well, we don't have a religion, we have a relationship, which is always a very interesting discussion, because they do not seem to understand that basically a religion is what you call basically your beliefs about something in regard to what it is. In other words, you have some beliefs, you have a belief system, you have an ideology, you have what may be called a philosophy that may be called religious. And so some people have decided they don't like the word religion. Religion to them is a bad word. They do not want to use the word religion. And I frankly decided to give her the definition of religion and quote a particular verse in the Bible in which they use the word religion in a very obvious and very positive sense. In other words, if you read James 1:27, at least the King James version, it says, pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. In other words, these are beliefs that you, in some sense, are putting in practice. So, in a sense, religion is itself tantamount to what may be called spirituality, a belief system, your ideas that you accept all of those are basically good, good summaries of religion. Faith and worship as well can be included in that definition, but religion can have a very general definition. Religion is a synonym to certain words like philosophy, ideology, and many other things that have to do with beliefs. Religion is, in a sense, the beliefs that you accept, especially in regard to deity, God, and so forth. But there are many Christians who, for whatever reason, they do not want to address the word in all of its nuances, and they think, well, we can just get rid of a definition or get rid of a word. And that is what many particular Christians are doing. So I just felt the need to give her a Bible verse in which religion is stated in the Bible. It can be something as simple as a cause, principle, or system of beliefs held to with fervor, with ardor, or in faith. So religion as a word is extremely vague and abstract. But you have some people who, and I've been talking about this crowd of Christians, and there are many Christians who do the same thing. They decide to become less dictional, less intelligent, and not really address things from an intelligent perspective. And you can say this the same in regard to this whole Israel thing. And we really have truly seen just how many Zionists there are. They read the Bible. It says Israel. Therefore, the nation of Israel must be they think that these people in Israel, they must be the real Jews. This must be the biblical Israel. The biblical Israel had a king. The United Kingdom did not help the original Israel be established. The United Kingdom, Britain, and the Rothschild family gave support to particular Ashkenazi people and supported them carrying out genocides throughout all of Palestine. Now, in the Bible, Israel had a king. All right? Israel did not have a president. There is no Israel with a president. Some people think this is the coming of prophecy. But if you read the Bible, you would know that when it says, when the Jews return to the land, there will be peace, or something of that sort. There is no peace in that land. All right? When the Hebrews are supposed to return, there's supposed to be peace in that land. And I forget which exact verse it is. There are particular groups who are quite capable of really defining just how the situation in Israel really does prove those are not the Jews who are supposed to return to the land. All right? Not to mention the fact that these people are supposed to be, the things that are done in Israel are just horrible. And, to be entirely honest, none of it is Christian. None of it is. But I am going to try to find that verse, because many people talk about there's not peace in the land. Ever since the Jews came, there has been warfare because they took the land and engaged in colonialism. But also you have a good deal of Christians who really do believe, I have to say, they really do believe in a lot of this, in this idea that the land with the biggest gay pride parades, with some of the biggest gay pride parades, happens to be just a wonderful place. It happens to be, this is the Lord's land. This is the land of God. Now, you would have to ask the question, how is this so? Even the Muslims In most Muslim countries, they do not really have gay pride parades. But in Israel, in the so-called land of Israel, which is supposed to be the Holy Land, this is what is being done. Now, for those of you who do not know, or you think, well, you know, for whatever reason, well, it doth not matter if they are gay or if they're homosexual or sodomitic. But frankly, in the Christian religion, that is not something considered to be good. Okay? And so, it says here, abuser of, there are multiple verses. One who lies with a male as with a female, sodomite, homosexual. So there's a verse here, abuser of that, abuser, of, it says you are not supposed to, those who abuse themselves with mankind. But there are other verses about sodomy. So this is supposedly supposed to be the Holy Land that so many Christians are so happy about when they are engaging in literal genocide over there in Gaza. There are men, women, and children dying. There are people dying over there. There are people who are being bombed over there. There are people who are, they are being bombed in hospitals, schools. You have Christians like Katie May. They pretend that after you've bombed men, women, and children in hospitals, all of a sudden you can say, oh, both sides need peace, both sides need Christ. But oftentimes, many of these Zionist Christians, they will pretend that they care about Palestinian people. They do not. And I've been saying this for a very long time. I would rather hear a Hebrew Israelite talk about this, because at least they say that the Ashkenazi over there are not the real Jews. All right? You have people who, frankly, are disgusting. These people are horrible, I have to say, and they call themselves Christian. And they will be some of the first people who say, we don't like homosexuality, we do not like gays. But look at this. The very country you support has some of the biggest gay pride parades in the world. It is a big gay tourist attraction. Sodomy and lesbianism is very, very popular in this country. And so it begs the question, what sort of Christian would say that, oh, this is the fulfillment of prophecy, these people are Jews, this is Israel? What sort of people would call this Israel? What sort of people would call this Israel? But anyhow, long story short, Katie May saw my posts. She saw my posts about religion. She saw my posts about Mormons. She decided to add me as a friend. Now you have to remember that this woman is a writer at Yeshua Woman of Faith. This is a type of blog page on Facebook in which they basically give little articles and basically, they basically, this is sort of how should I say it? A sort of women-focused Christian Facebook page. And so Katie May was interested in my post, and what I got in my email box or my inbox was, Katie May wants to be friends with you on Facebook. Writer at Yeshua Woman of Faith. Well, basically she friended me, and for whatever reason, I suppose she saw some of my critique videos on other people and regarding what other people were teaching. Or else she did not take that comment about Mormons well. because I basically, in a sense, sort of paralleled the hypocrisy of Christians who accept New Age concepts and then say things about Mormons, all right, and also Muslims. And also, when you look at the star, there's nothing Christian about it. There's nothing really Hebrew about it. Nothing biblical about that star. It is actually used in magical practices. This is not something that is biblical in the least. Oh, please ignore it if you hear cat sounds. I am basically recording in the room with some cats. And I guess they're playing. Go on, cats. Go on. Go on. Go on. Okay, the cats are basically playing in this room. But anyhow, people like this are really quite terrible, to be honest. I mean, they're hypocrites, and they are exactly what is wrong with Christianity, and exactly why a lot of people like myself, who are foundational Black Americans, we are sort of tired of these people, who in some sense sort of support bigotry and prejudice. At this point, most people already know that everything happening in Gaza is horrible, and they know exactly who is responsible for it. This idea that you as a Christian can go around and say, well, they shouldn't be in the land. The land is Israel. It's not Palestine. Like Katie May thinks, and a lot of other Christians think. Many people are starting to become sick of Christians because so many Christians are Zionists. So many Christians do not care if men, women, and children die in Gaza. Well, they're Muslim. They're Palestinian. That land belongs to the Jews. Don't you know? Tricks is for kids. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. It really is as dumb as that. But many of us... Go on, cats. Go on. I mean, these cats are hissing and playing around. It really is. I'm sorry if that noise sort of is in the background. But anyhow, it really is quite an argument, I have to say. They have no argument. The only argument they have is that, the Bible says the Jews were in the land and the Holocaust happened. Therefore, it does not matter if the Israeli government bombs Palestinian people. And you may say, that does not make any sense. Who would be that callous? Who would be that evil? Christians would. Some Christians. Not all Christians. Some Christians are that way. All right? And many of these so-called Jewish people, they look just like her. It is kind of interesting that when we read the Bible, the term black is applied to Jewish people more than once. To Jews, not Jewish people. Jewish is a new sort of European word, but I mean basically, but let me see. We have verses in the Bible like, my skin is black upon me. Okay, what Jews do you know? And basically I'm talking about the general Jew that you would think about. What Jews look like their skin is black upon them? You tell me who you know. What Jew do you know that has skin that's black upon them? My skin is black upon me, and my bones are burned with heat. Many Jews look as pale as her. There is no possibility they would ever look black or dark of complexion. But many of us understand that Britain supported some European Jews to go into the land. They decided to have a sort of policy called the right of return. They welcomed Jews from all over the world. They discriminate against Ethiopian Jews in the land, and yet they still go there. I suppose they think somehow being around white people, they're going to have a better life. But their blood was rejected in the blood banks. Okay, this is how despised black Ethiopians are in Israel. Israel dumps blood from Ethiopians. But this is Israel. This is the Holy Land. They have to fight the Palestinians so they can have that land. This is prophecy. This is good. That really is the kingdom of Israel according to a lot of these Christians. People like Katie May, hypocrites. So anyhow, apparently Katie May saw some of my videos or something and she was sort of agitated by them. And so what Katie May decided to do, after she had gave me a friend request. I did not respond to the friend request at that time because I did not see it. I looked maybe a day after and I saw, oh, Katie May gave me a friend request. She was that person who that I commented on, on her Facebook page. So the interesting thing was she tried to add me as a friend and then blocked me. All right? So that is what Katie May did. And if you do not already know, Draw to Restore did something similar. Draw to Restore tried to become a friend with me, tried to add me as a friend, and she did, and I accepted the friend request. Later on, Ravinder Rayat would block me. All right? Ravinder basically decided to send me a friend request and then blocked me for whatever reason. Because I basically do critique content. And obviously all you have to do is look at my channel page to know that I do critique content about Christians who do not adhere to fundamentals. This is obvious. So that ended up happening. And so let me talk about something else related to Katie May. Katie May is a writer for Women of Yeshua. All right, some people, they love using the Hebrew because they want to be more Jewish, which is so funny. People like myself just laugh at it. I mean, so many of these people, especially pale Europeans, beige people who are Christian. Not all of you. Some of you are quite, you're sort of based in reality. And some people might say, oh, you're using that word based. That's supposed to be a white supremacist term. No, the rapper Little B made it. Some of these women are based. So I'm just going to say that was a black term. That's not some alternative white ring supremacist term. Because they took the word woke too and made that bad. But anyhow, these words came from the black community. Yeshua Woman of Faith, I happened to see what they were posting. And they are promoting New Age concepts. See how this sounds. So we have King David was anointed by God throughout his life. Everything he was tasked to do, he excelled in. But anyhow, let's read the bottom here, because this right here is really the sort of, how should I say, this is the substance of this post. Empaths, prophets, messengers, healers, chosen, narcissists, demonic elites sent to attack empaths. Ever notice how the spiritually gifted always end up in narcissistic friendships, connections? This is because it's their job to destroy you. They're operating in a demonic realm. Some know it and some don't know it. All right, I am sorry for the very dramatic voice, but frankly, a post like this calls for it. So to be entirely honest, I decided to respond to this. I said, forgive me if I'm somewhat confused. And I posted the definition for empath. Chiefly in science fiction, a person with the paranormal ability to apprehend the mental or emotional state of another individual. And I just said, very interesting. I am surprised they left that comment up. I really am. But anyhow, she writes for this publication. She herself happens to have a friend who did a video about basically her teaching, and that friend was Ravinder. Ravinder was basically doing her little Christian teaching as the art preacher, and what she happened to do was she happened to talk about how the law of attraction was a Christian concept. Now, The law of attraction comes from theosophy. The law of attraction comes from New Age religion. The law of attraction is the idea that you create your own reality because you are God. I am giving a good summary of it. The idea is that because your mind is part of reality, the belief that positive thoughts are magnets for positive life experiences and negative thoughts. That is to say, the very cynical definition previously provided for this term are magnets for negative life experiences. Based on the law of attraction, if you have a specific desire and focus joyfully on that desire, it will be fulfilled. No, I'm not lying. So Ravindra decided to incorporate this idea in Christianity, and she says, the law of attraction is part of Christianity. The Bible is teaching it. This is what Ravindra decided to teach. And it is quite interesting, frankly, and I did a video about that. And I also posted in Katie May's comment section that it is interesting that, many of you Christians are talking about Mormons and what Mormons don't do according to the Bible, when many people like Katie May are teaching things that are not according to the Bible, but according to her own syncretic, predilections. In other words, she likes the concept of the law of attraction. People who write at her publication, the little blogging, not necessarily a publication, but her little blogging Facebook page, they like the concept of empaths. Oh, you're an empath, which is a paranormal type of idea that comes from science fiction, which is the idea you can know what emotional state that they are having. All right, Katie May and her friends are taking ideas from science fiction, ideas from New Age religion, theosophy, and incorporating them into Christianity. Now, some people may say, well, why am I even talking about this? Why should I care? Anybody can believe whatever they want to, and they can, but I have every right to criticize it. The reason I critique people like Ravindra and people like Katie May and people like Truth Seeker is because these people are purposely teaching Christians things that do not even align with Christianity, things that are outside of Christianity, things from different religions. So my channel and what I do on the channel is sort of a litmus test. All right, I basically test things and compare them to what the verses say or what we as Christians believe in, our fundamentals, and I say, isn't this interesting? They're talking about empaths and mushrooms. But anyhow, I do think we have sort of reviewed this Christian influencer, Katie May. She is a Zionist. She does not care about Palestinians. She says the land is Israel. It's not Palestine. She does not care about those men, women, and children dying. You may think she is pretty, but she is a disgusting person. You have to be really perverted to not recognize that men, women, and children are dying in these bombing campaigns that Israel engages in. Whether there are hostages or not, you're bombing hospitals, you're bombing schools, you're killing people. You have to be a complete fool to not understand that European Ashkenazi Jews were colonizers. They had no reason to be in that land. They used their tribulations in the Holocaust as an excuse to take that land. To not recognize this, you have to be a bigot or some type of very prejudicial, disgusting individual, and that is what she is. So, you can know this face and who this individual is. Anyhow, let us move on so that we do not have to see that horrible woman anymore. Let us move on to Ravindra and sort of see what she promotes in some of her posts. Now, you may have saw that I did a video about Ravindra trying to basically quit weed. Ravindra was trying to quit marijuana. Ravindra said that she was having an addiction or some type of, she had problems with marijuana. She wanted to quit. She said she wanted the Lord to deliver her from that addiction, basically. Some of you have probably seen that video, but anyhow, Ravindra now is promoting psychedelic mushrooms. Peeps need to flip and educate themselves before shatting shit they ain't got a Scooby about. Yeah, I bloody said it. Sunglasses. She really thinks that she is cool. And numpties who took the clot shots need to reset. No joke. Hashtag fantastic mushrooms. All of those weird symbols and art preacher. All right? You have to take into account that this is a woman who has a long history in the Christian community. All right? This woman really does. A lot of Christians have supported her channel, and watched her videos throughout the years. Yes, they have. They most certainly have. And so basically, the history with her is that basically all of the things that she used to teach, she is basically backslid upon, and she basically is now accepting all types of things, talking about conspiracies, which, truth be told, some conspiracies I believe in, some conspiracies I do not necessarily believe in. And so she is basically saying, well, us people who advocate for psychedelic mushrooms, we are better than those people who advocate for, inoculation. Oh, well, the inoculation during the epidemics, wasn't so bad. Excuse me, she is saying, well, we didn't take those shots to cause blood clots, but you people did. And think about how superior she is behaving. This is supposedly supposed to be a Christian. She calls herself the art preacher. So let us see her point. Let us see the substance of the point, because the substance of the point on a lot of these Facebook posts is usually beneath what they say. Psychedelic mushrooms remove heavy metals from the brain. They reverse addiction and reduce low vibrational emotions such as stress, fear, and worry. They are not mind controlling. They are mind expanding. Now look at how that wording is. They are not mind controlling. They are mind expanding. Which, truth be told, the argument was not that they are mind expanding. The argument that many people have against them is that they are addictive, and they cause people to have hallucinations. All right? And they can become addictive. People become addicted to the hallucinogenic effects, these magic mushrooms. And so our only question, probably should be, are these Christian? Or rather, not necessarily are these Christian. We know the Lord made those mushrooms, but should we be using them as Christians? Well, in Titus 2:6 it says, young men likewise exhort to be sober-minded. All right, well, maybe that does not include women. Maybe that doth not include women. Maybe women can use magic mushrooms. I mean, are you sober-minded when you're engaging in an hallucinogenic trip, whether it be mushrooms or LSD? Are you sober-minded? Be sober, be vigilant. Because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. That is from Peter. All right? So, it seems like you should be sober, right? But anyhow, this is what Ravindra promotes. This is also what Truth Seeker promoteth. The usage of mushrooms. And he has all manner of different ideas that come from different religions. that, oh, Christianity and Egyptian religions are compatible. This is a friend of 𝒉𝒍𝒍, of Draw to Restore, that YouTuber that some of you may know. I just have to say that the same woman that some of you donated money to, you should know she has changed. If you did not recognize already, when she stopped wearing crosses and started wearing a Thor's hammer, a symbol of the thunder god, no, she is no longer adhering to Christian fundamentals. She no longer is. And she is promoting all manner of what may be called spiritual leaven. And if you know anything about leaven, spiritual leaven, a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. The whole lump. All right? This is the idea, that you have something that is from some other religion, a strange doctrine, so to speak, that you have mixed into your faith. And it is no longer pure. All right? And I had the verse about strange and diverse doctrines somewhere here. But I might as well get it. But basically, these are strange and diverse doctrines. You no longer have to be sober. You no longer have to be sober. Okay? You can now, use mushrooms according to 𝒉𝒍𝒍. You can do that now. It doth not matter. Okay? You can accept the law of attraction. You can accept that somehow you are God and you can affect the universe. You can accept being an empath. You can accept Zionism, which is the belief that one of the countries that has the most gay pride parades, that is a well-known tourist spot for, people who participate in sodomy and lesbianism, is somehow the kingdom of Israel. You can accept this. Apparently, and still, is this what being a Christian means? Justifying men, women, and children dying? A person like this is no worse than a so-called Christian during the days of slavery in Europe and the United States, in which they said, well, it doth not matter if the Aboriginal and African people are enslaved. This is prophecy. This is what they are supposed to do. This is in the Bible. This woman is no better than them. A vain hypocrite. All right? People like 𝒉𝒍𝒍 promoted karma. They promote all types of new age concepts. And truth be told, Truth Seeker does as well. Truth Seeker does as well. And the funny thing is that she wants to, they also want to sort of talk about other people and what they do, Freemasons and Mormons, and other individuals. They like to talk about those things. And they like to talk about how they are wrong and Christians are right. But they are putting all manner of new age concepts into the faith and teaching it. All right? Now, I did a video not too long ago about how 𝒉𝒍𝒍 was promoting the 5 elements, a carnal idea that comes from pagan religions. Christians don't focus on remembering that they are water, fire, air, earth, and spirit. We know that spirit is above all of the elements. God is a spirit, according to our scriptures. We do not need to focus on how much water, fire, or air, and earth is in our bodies. This is something that pagans focus on obsessively. But she is bringing all of these sorts of ideas and promoting them to Christians and teaching these things. And for those of you, again, who do not recognize that this is a Thor's hammer, that is a Thor's hammer. All right? She is wearing the symbol of the god of thunder. for anyone who may be confused about that. And frankly, I do not have any problem with people who wear this, but she calls herself a Christian, and I should highlight it, I think. There are many sort of renditions of this particular type of amulet. All right? And so this is a Thor's hammer necklace. This is for the god Thor, the god of thunder. Now, obviously, if you claim to be a Christian, obviously you are not claiming to be a worshiper of Thor. Okay? If you're a Christian, you worship one God. You don't worship Thor, the son of Odin, the husband of Sif, the god of thunder. But frankly, I point this out so that my fellow Christians can know that this woman, if you are supporting her, this is who you are supporting. This is who. All right? So you're supporting a person who used to wear crosses and now wears the symbol of Thor. Who now talks about the 5 elements and how you are, remember, this is something you should remember. You are the 5 elements. So when I said she was not a Christian, I can only say that from my personal perspective, and you have to be the judge. But the worst thing about all of this is that she is teaching other Christians. And so this woman does not have Christian fundamentals anymore. She has mixed all manner of spiritual leaven into her teaching, and she calls herself the art preacher. When you teach, you have a responsibility, or at least in our community. And no one else outside of this community needs to care. But since we are in this community, since we are Christian, the Bible says open rebuke is better than secret love. Open rebuke is better than secret love. So that is what I do. I do it in a respectful manner. I tell people, I say, fellow Christians, watch who you involve yourself with in these communities. Watch who you learn from. Because some of these people are frankly not Christian, and there are a lot of people who do not know yet. They think, well, she posts some Bible verses, therefore she's a Christian too. But she's wearing a Thor's hammer necklace. She used to wear crosses, sort of representing the crucifixion of Christ. Now she's wearing a symbol representing the god of thunder. Why would she do that? Why would she do that and go around calling herself the art preacher? Now, whether she is confused or not, it doth not matter. If she can mislead people, that is good enough reason for me to speak about it. And I will continue. So this video is for those whom it may concern. Frankly, I have to say. So, this was one particular video I posted. I'm very glad to have done so. And let me see, what else should I talk about? Well, some of you know Truth Seeker. Some of you know about him. Some of you know what he teaches. Basically, he, teaches all manner of things. He considers himself to be a Christian mystic, although what he teacheth is not in any sort of sense similar to actual Christian mystics, such as Miguel de Molinos, Marguerite Porete, Fenelon, any of those people who you can do some research regarding what may be called mysticism, which the earliest recording of Christian mysticism, for the most part, you can look at the friend of Paul, Dionysius the Areopagite, who just so happened to write a whole book in which, he wrote a book about prayer. It was very interesting. And every book that you might consider to be something having to do with Christian mysticism is very similar. I mean, these people all throughout Europe, books about these people. Some of them were burned at the stake, such as Marguerite Porete. A lot of these people lived very difficult lives, and they had a good deal of faith. But they were Christian. Truth Seeker is different because Truth Seeker mixes things like Kundalini in his teaching. He teaches that Paul, somehow was using demons, and everything you can think of. Egyptian religions are compatible with Christianity, which, considering they worship more than one God, no, they are not. How can something be compatible in which they use in which they have the worship of more than one God, and you have a religion in which they worship one God? Sure, they may have their similarities, however, they are not the same. And so a lot of these people are very eager to mix leaven into the faith. And I did want to show you this. This happens to be the fundraising campaign that Ravindra had made when she was made homeless due to her Christian faith. And I will give you a short history about this. Her parents said, "You cannot stay here anymore," and they kicked her out because she was a Christian. They were Sikh parents. Now, if you go to Ravindra's Facebook, she is saying all types of things about Christians, about how Christians are judgmental. Christians do not, side with her. Christians do not unify together. Well, when Ravindra was made homeless, Christians decided to help her with even a couple £1,000. Christians decided to donate money to Ravindra. Ravindra also had a store, and I'm not sure if she still has that store. She used to sell products. Okay, this is her Instagram. That is not what I'm looking for. What I am looking for is her website where she used to sell some Christian products. She no longer has that website up. I suppose I talked about it too much. I used to always talk about the fact that this woman is saying so many spiteful things about Christians, and she is selling Christian products, and she has completely left fundamental Christianity. The fundamentals she has left behind. It is no problem for her to wear a Thor's hammer. It is no problem for her to tell you that you should be doing mushrooms. It is no problem for her to tell you that you are fire, water, air, earth, spirit. Wait. Do you not think that teaching people things like this could really sort of affect their understanding of Christianity and sort of lead them to believe things that are not fundamentally Christian? And when you doth not specify that these things are not Christian, and you say the law of attraction, that is Christian. The Bible teaches this. You have to wonder, what is their plan in doing this? Why do they do this? What purpose does this have? And it is very obvious. Truth Seeker and many other individuals, they want to promote certain things to Christians and sort of promote to a Christian audience ideas that are not Christian. They want you to not have your fundamentals. They want you to think like they do. In other words, I can be a Christian and accept Egyptian religion in which they worship gods like Osiris, Horus, Set, Anubis. All right? Now, you could say that Neoplatonism is similar to Christianity. You could say that Egyptian religion is similar to Christianity in some particular ways. But to say that they are compatible when one particular religion saith that the Lord our God is one, there are no gods before me, this God is a jealous God. If that God is a jealous God, I find it kind of funny that the Egyptian has such thick lips but such a light skin tone. Because if we're being honest, this man has black features. when they depict Egyptians, you see a lot of the people depict Egyptians with, look, this man has brown hair. You really think Egyptians back then had brown hair? Just some casual sort of sort of European bias from Mr. Truth Seeker, which is no surprise. And it is funny, some of these people who have dreads and are, pale-skinned Europeans, Euro-Americans, in many cases, they happen to be some of the individuals who really take from black culture and have, a blatant or, a black sort of accent. And at the same time, you can tell that they are not really, there are just some, and we have white Jesus, of course, even though the Bible says that his skin was, his feet were like they were burnt in the furnace. Okay, his hair was white like wool. If you read about the Ancient of Days in Daniel, his hair was considered to be like wool. It wasn't even considered to be white like wool. It was literally said to be like wool. So if you put two and two together and you say, hey, the Ancient of Days has hair like wool, Jesus has hair that's white like wool, as white as snow, you do not have to be a genius to recognize that, wait, one is describing his texture and the other is describing his color. Okay, which is very interesting. Hair like wool. That doth not look like hair like wool to me. I thought this channel was about the truth. I thought this website in Truth Seeker was about the truth. Where's the truth? All right? Why do we have little stereotypical white Jesus? I think he should have some darker skin. Honestly. But this is what we find at Truth Seeker's website. You can look at this and see what he teaches if you want. But basically, I felt the need to talk about some of these individuals. All right? Many of them are just, it really is a terrible situation. But as I know, I mean, there are some people who are just sick and tired of these people. Sick and tired of hypocrites, Zionist hypocrites, people who are sort of have their ministries, and what they teach in their ministries are basically light New Age concepts that they incorporate in the faith. A lot of us are tired of it. Okay, a lot of us are tired of it. Okay, we are tired of it. And it really is annoying. It really is. So, this video is just about how, yes, there are New Age Christians. That is an oxymoron to some of us, but yes, there are. And they will tell you they are Christian. And this picture is the perfect example of it. This was a woman who was very much supported by a lot of Christians. And now, here she is. Just turned her back on all of those Christian fundamentals that before she used to sort of support, and the community that really helped her, she is now calling divisive. Even though this community gave her cash money. Christians gave her cash money. She got kicked out of her house for being a Christian by her parents, and some of us remember it. And yes, I have this whole GoFundMe page backed up. I can show it to everyone. She was kicked out of her home for being a Christian. And now, if you go to her Facebook page, you may not have seen it on these particular posts, but she is quite adamant about how divisive Christians are. You have to recognize this woman received money from Christians. This woman had a shop that Christians used to shop at and buy from. And it is funny, the people we hear talk about Christians being divisive, so many of them are making money from the Christian community. So many of them are promoting New Age concepts. And they do it without shame. They do it without shame at all. So, this man wanted to come in my comment section and talk about a little video gameplay and say, oh, well, you have video gameplay, you have commentary gameplay, you must not be a Christian. That's not Christian. I am not asking any of my viewers for money. Therein lieth the difference. I am not asking for money. Not at all. But they are. Ravindra received money from the Christian community. 𝒕𝒉𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒎💂 received money from the Christian community. The funny thing is that my hands are clean. These are the dirty people. These are the dirty people who are responsible for taking money from the very community that they criticize. And that is the most funny part of all of it. All right? They really are hypocrites. They make money from the Christian community. All right? So, it was my pleasure to talk about these three hypocrites in particular. And they do not like the fact that I talk about them. They do not like the fact that I do these videos. They don't. They really don't. They really have problems with it. They have major problems with the fact that I do these videos, but that is all right. I decided to start doing these videos about Christian influences a long time ago, and it was one of the best decisions I made, because it warns people about who they are getting involved with, what they are promoting, and that makes me a good deal happy, I have to say. So this video will benefit someone, and that is what matters. These people do not matter to me. I am doing this for other people. This is not about any of these people. This is not about 𒕉𝒉𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒆𝒎💂. This is not about Katie May. This is not about any of these people. This is about what is going on in the Christian community, what they have accepted, what they are supporting. There are Christians supporting genocide, and they are such hypocrites that they do not care. But it is time for me to show you a verse that really does really gives me hope, and it is the faith and patience of the saints. Maybe you know it. Oh goodness, my internet has been having problems. But anyhow, that verse is, those who leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. This is the patience and faith of the saints. So, bigots like Katie May and other people who do not care about Palestinians being killed in mass in Gaza, it is so simple that even a fool would know it. Those who slay by the sword, they are going to be slain by the sword. Those who lead into captivity, they are going to go into captivity. And I believe that is the faith and patience of the saints. There is also a Bible verse that says that you ought not to. Basically, it says that you are not to build a town with blood. That is what that so-called Israel is. That is what it is. It is not a kingdom. It has no king. Those people cannot even tell you what tribe they are from. Those people do not even have a paternal pedigree. In other words, they determine who is a Jew by the mother, and that simply was not the case in the Bible. In the Bible, who was a Jew was determined by the father. Who was a Hebrew was determined by the father. Just like most other places in the world, you are determined which tribe you are in by the father, whether it be Jacob, whether it be basically all of those tribes. Benjamin, because Jacob is Israel, he is the father of those tribes. Benjamin, Judah, all of those tribes. Those people cannot even tell you which tribe they came from. Okay, Levi, I cannot remember all of them offhand. I do not have a particularly good memory. But yes, that was a town built with blood by people who are not even the real Jews, not even the real Israelis, not even the real Israelites. And Israeli is not mentioned in the Bible, and Israelites are mentioned in the Bible. Hebrews are mentioned in the Bible. Jewish people are not mentioned in the Bible. Jews are mentioned in the Bible. And I will tell you one thing, they certainly do not look like how Truth Seeker depicts them. If you think that that is Jesus, if you think Jesus is some European, Caucasian-looking man, you have to be out of your mind. The book of Revelation says something entirely different. But you can research that yourself. A lot of Christians have been dealing with that white Jesus problem for a long time. And it really is, in my opinion, it is a demon. It is an antichrist. If we read the book of Revelation, it says that his feet were like they were burnt in the furnace. His hair was white like wool. The Ancient of Days in the Bible is talked about. It says his hair was like wool. It says his arms were the color of polished brass. I do not think he looked like a pale European man with blonde hair. I simply do not. All right? But anyhow, that is no surprise because New Age religion, theosophy, was based in racism during its very inception. There were the ideas that Aryans were the superior white race, who was superior to all other races, and that they came from Atlantis. So these are just some things to think about, to be entirely honest. So I did this video on somewhat of a whim. I just decided to do it because I really wanted to really talk about this woman, Katie May, because I remember a long time ago, she was one of those people, who wrote at this particular Facebook page, and these people are basically promoting a science fiction concept and joining it to the religion of Christianity, which is quite ridiculous when you think about it, and sad. All of this stuff is sad, but anyhow, someone has to talk about it. Someone has to share the news with their fellow, brothers and sisters in the faith. And so if no one else will talk about it, I will. Anyhow, I would just like to say, people, may you be blessed and farewell. We reviewed a lot today. We reviewed the people I wanted to talk about. But anyhow, I see my internet is working again. Let me read that verse. Let me read that verse. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the faith and here's the patience and the faith of the saints. Now let's read about that town built with blood, because that is what excuse me. But anyhow, basically, that particular verse, the verse I wanted to look at is right here. Let me take a look. Here we go. Let me see. Right here. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establish a city by iniquity. All right? So Zionist Christians, what are you supporting? When you support men, women, and children dying so that the nation can be built, you are supporting a town built with blood. What are you supporting when you support this? This is what Katie May supports. All right? This is what Katie May supports. They support the biggest gay pride parade, basically, in the world. Israel's gay pride parades are well known, and they are huge. Okay? These are the chosen people. These are the holy people. This is the Holy Land. Many of you Christians speak against homosexuality, and yet you support a country that basically really does, it is not something that they curtail in the least. There are children looking at scantily clad men and women who are half naked. All while men, women, and children are bombed in Gaza. All while that is happening. All while people are dying from blood loss. All while people are literally being destroyed by missile fire. The children of Gaza, they're going to have $1 million coming to them in donations because they keep bombing that place. The Israeli government that some of you so-called Christians are supporting. You support a town built with blood, a city built with blood, a nation built with blood. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and establish a city by iniquity. That is what so many of you are supporting. It really is disgusting. That is a disgusting woman. You have to be blind not to realize this is happening. A bunch of show-offs who just want to go show their faces on social media who happen to be bigots. Some Christians supporting the Zionist state, committing atrocities in Gaza. But as I said, those of us who are the saints, we have faith. Those who are led into captivity will go into captivity. Those who kill with the sword will be killed by the sword. They must be killed with the sword, rather. So, there will be justice. And frankly, it was very interesting to talk about all of these very problematic figures who are honestly leading people astray. But frankly, I felt it had to be done. And frankly, I suppose this is just something that I have to do. I just feel the need to. May you be blessed and farewell. Once again, I said that before and I didn't actually end the video, so now I am. Alright, so goodbye.